right, I am happy to be joined with Carl Merton. He is the Chief Financial Officer of Tilray. Joins us here today, and obviously it's great to catch up with you again. Carl, how are things?
Things are great. I'm very happy to be here with you today. As you can see, I'm live from Sweetwater in Atlanta. I'm so excited to be part of the new Tilray team.
Yeah.
To have the integration of Sweetwater, Aphria, Tilray, all of those products. It's just, it's an exciting time. Lots of opportunity for everybody, including our shareholders, and as we grow this company.
You can breathe. Everything's done, right, for a day?
Well, no. Things just start now.
Yeah,
now it's
exactly.
about integration and putting these two fantastic teams together, putting two sets of products, two sets of brands together.
Yeah.
Lots of heavy lifting still to be done. I wish I could sleep.
How's the Sweetwater brand developing? I know last time we had spoke, which was late summer after the actual acquisition, but a lot of awareness from what I'm hearing as far as the cannabis community, but even abroad beyond that, from what I'm hearing and seeing.
Well, we're getting some fantastic growth opportunities. We've moved up the Eastern Seaboard.
Yep.
We've got a couple places and we're slowly moving into the Rust Belt. We've had great success. We opened up in Colorado. They've been able to expand their partnership with Delta, and you can now get a Sweetwater beer on any Delta flight worldwide, not only first class and premium plus cabin, but an economy cabin as well. I just had a tour this morning here and was shocked at how many kegs are ready for shipment to international opportunities. And so, we're getting some great growth in the brands. Really excited about later this summer. People are going to start to see some of the Canadian cannabis brands showing up on Sweetwater beer.
Where do you
riff offerings? They're going to see some Soleil. You're going to see some Broken Coast as well. And lastly, I hear 420 is now available at the LCBO in Ontario.
That's great. Irwin, his background, obviously CPG, it's all about relationships. It's very competitive. Where do you see this brand, I guess, if you had to picture it and let's say in the next 12 to 24 months?
Well, obviously growing. We're trying to get we're trying to turn it into a national beer brand and then be able to leverage that for cannabis. But I think if you look at what Irwin and his team's history is at Hain, when they were there before, they bought businesses in this same sweet spot, $50 to $80 million of annual sales. And then with their expertise, turned it into a $250, $300 million brand going forward. And that's what we're looking to do with Sweetwater. Product extensions through cannabis, product extensions through their offering. They've got a new hard seltzer coming out. They have, they have a vodka soda coming out. So just some great new things coming from Sweetwater.
We will get into the talk of the acquisition, but I have to ask, you've been there since day one, and this is a big moment, obviously, what happened this week. What have you noticed? And I know it's been quite a while, obviously, since Irwin's been the CEO, but when you look back in the early days to where you are today, especially after this week's announcement, what stands out to you most?
There's a few things. One, there's a lot of people who mistakenly believe that Aphria is going to disappear. And there was a lot of nostalgia, a lot more nostalgia than I honestly anticipated. For Aphria, but we're happy to say we're going to keep the Aphria name alive in Canada as part of the combination. We're keeping the Aphria medical brand alive, and we're keeping all of our recreational brands. So Aphria isn't disappearing. The corporate name has just changed to Tilray.
Makes sense. Wanted to ask you, obviously, with this merger and acquisition, big news to say the least. So what's the clear message that you want to communicate to the investment world moving forward, knowing this was a big announcement this week?
Just the combination of these two very complementary companies, what it will achieve going forward. It gives us strength in our balance sheet. It gives us strength in our brand offerings. It gives us strength on the brand equity side. It gives us strength with people. There's some absolutely fantastic people at both companies that are going to help drive this new entity moving forward.
Yeah, this was an unconventional acquisition, given that the smaller company Tilray acquired the bigger company in Aphria, but decided obviously to keep the Tilray corporate name and ticker. It's obviously well known amongst the investment community that the Tilray name is more established amongst investors globally. So how much do you think that plays into a factor?
Oh, that was one of the biggest factors related to this. the Tilray name in the U.S. Carries a cash related to it being a cannabis company in the U.S.
Right.
It doesn't carry the name of a Canadian cannabis company, and so we felt that better portrayed what we were going to do going forward. It also gave us, a better standing with the investment community who recognized the Tilray name going forward, and those were the big reasons why we made that choice.
A lot of CEOs I've spoken with here in America, this industry is really moving fast. The global acceptance, across the world continues to grow, but more pertaining to the US, big opportunities, big growth. This acquisition has a lot riding on federal legalization. So what are you hearing from a legislation standpoint as to how that's progressing?
Well, I think things are moving forward, but I also think people have to give it a little bit of time.
Yeah, of course.
The U.S. government is dealing with COVID. It's dealing with stimulus and some other items. They aren't going to pass new rules in the next 2 months. It's probably going to take a little over a year, maybe almost, right before the end of the 2-year period from the date of election for it to get passed. Things are moving forward. I think safe banking is probably the easiest for them to pass. It's likely the most likely that'll pass.
What's that do for you in the event that does pass?
The big thing safe banking does is it opens up the playing field on the institutional investor side.
Right.
So it allows a number of investors who have been scared of, DOJ risk or something along those lines, and allows them to get into the mix. This time when the capital hits the cannabis industry, it's the top investment funds that are going to be putting that money in.
Yep.
They're going to pick the best players. They're the ones they're going to participate with. In the early days of cannabis, what we saw was people playing the field. People knew cannabis was going to succeed, but they didn't know who was going to win. And so they played a little bit of everybody. You even saw that in January when the stocks ran up and everybody kind of jumped up.
Of course.
Versus there being real capital allocation. I think you see real capital allocation this time around, and the top companies are the ones who are going to win, and it's going to give them even stronger balance sheets moving forward to embrace the U.S. opportunity.
So even being a Canadian player right now, safe banking, there's still tremendous opportunity. And do you think that in the event that safe banking is passed, how does that progress, I guess, your business model operating in the U.S., or can it?
Well, for one, it should allow us to engage in activities in the U.S.
Yeah.
And so we can start to take what we've done with Sweetwater,
what
we're going to do with Manitoba Harvest in terms of leveraging our brands and start building out that base in the U.S. If it doesn't allow us to go that step, it'll still allow us to keep building that infrastructure.
Right.
And that infrastructure was a key part of why we bought Sweetwater. It puts you in a better position when the rules change.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the issue for the US. Nobody really knows exactly what the rules are going to be. And so you can go out and you can make a really big bet today, but you're making it, without a whole lot of knowledge as to what the real rules are. Are there going to be 3-tier distribution system? If there is, the US MSO model is going to change dramatically.
How so?
Right? Well, if there's a 3-tier medical system, right, or 3-tier distribution system, all of them today are playing in all 3 areas of that distribution. They're going to be limited to one of the 3. They're either going to see sales decreases or they're going to see cost increases from their balance sheets today. Their businesses will change if that is ultimately the choice. If they allow, a full companies to play through the entire chain, well, then that's a different story. They have a big head start, and everyone else will have to keep up. There's things like the interstate commerce clause, and interstate commerce, and will there or won't there be barriers? If you're buying product today in California, you're paying $1,500 a ton to buy cannabis. If you're buying it in New York, I think it's $10,500.
Wow.
That price difference disappears.
Right.
If there's legalization. And so the whole U.S. landscape is going to change as they figure out what exactly the rules are. And you can make a bet today, but it's very uneducated, right? Our position is we think we know what's going to happen. We're going to build for the longer term. And as we get a little bit better clarity of the rules, then we'll strike.
Yeah, well, your balance sheet's a healthy one, obviously, from this acquisition, was before as well. But here we go. Big MSOs may get a head start, but Irwin last week on CNBC indicated that mergers and acquisitions will look to acquire companies too. Are there specific companies, without naming names right now, that you actually have interest in the US side?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Right. We're looking at how we continue to do things like Sweetwater, things like what we did with CC Pharma. Some people take that a little too literally and thought we wanted to buy a distribution company. No, we want to buy a company that's strong, that's profitable, that generates cash, so we're not having to fund a cash burn, and then leverage something key in that business for cannabis. In CC Pharma's case, we wanted to leverage their distribution, their
right,
13,000 pharmacies in Germany. For Sweetwater, it was leverage their brands.
right. Makes sense. I want to last ask you, let's shift our attention now overseas into Europe. Late 2020, the European Union Court of Justice ruled that CBD is not a non-narcotic, and the UN's Commission for Narcotic Drugs voted to reclassify cannabis from a Schedule 4 drug. Tilray's done a lot of background work in Europe, while in America, the FDA still continues to delay research of cannabinoids. So this is a big opportunity. Wanted to ask, how do you see this all unfolding in Europe in the next 12 to 24 months concerning the overall growth of CBD products? And do you think the FDA will follow soon after?
So, Europe's interesting. Tilray has done a great amount of background work in Europe. They've built their facility in Portugal. They have relationships, countries all over the continent. And we look forward to being able to take the product that they're growing in Portugal and getting it into those countries as all those countries start to move. I think yesterday...
It's a big opportunity in Portugal, right? All drugs decriminalized, overhead cost is relatively cheap.
Yeah, and it's an outdoor greenhouse. It's sunny. It's in one of the better areas for greenhouses, and so great opportunity. I think last night or yesterday, Switzerland announced that they're looking to move to legalize cannabis, and so lots of opportunities in the European Union. Some of it is tied to CBD. Who came out and is in support of CBD and its legalization, and so there's opportunities there. But we think there's even more opportunities on the THC side, and so we're playing both streams and plan to play both streams going forward.
It's great. Well, listen, I know you're busy. I appreciate you catching up with us. Congrats on everything that's unfolded. It's incredible, obviously, to say the least, and sounds like some big opportunities on the horizon. Appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you very much for having me and your listeners wanting to hear what I had to say again.
Thanks, Carl.